Hi everyone, I am Mayank, the marketing manager at Hyperbots. I am pleased to have Claudia Mejia on the call. Claudia is the managing director at Ikigai Edge. Thank you for joining us today. We are here to discuss the level of visibility companies should provide to the vendors during the invoice processing workflow. Let's start with the basics. So, why is vendor visibility in the invoice processing workflow important for a company's financial operations?
Hi, Mayank. Thank you for having me. Well, it's very important because it impacts vendor relationships. In any company, we want to make sure that our vendors are content. And for that, we need to provide efficient processes and making sure that processes are according to the terms also with the vendors. So we just need to make sure that the process remains smooth, just in a timely manner.
Awesome. So basically, there are two primary approaches to vendor visibility, that is full transparency versus high level updates. Could you explain these two approaches?
So the full transparency, basically, you communicate to the vendor the stages where the invoices are, start all the way from receipt to the reviews, to the approvals, and to the payments. So the vendor knows exactly where they are within that process. However, the high-level status is really letting them know, well, right now we're in the review stage, or you're going to get paid this date and the expectations. So we don't need to go through the details of exactly where we are, just giving them a sense of where they're going to get paid. At the end of the day, vendors want to know when they're going to get paid.
Awesome. So, what do you see as the primary advantage of providing full transparency to the vendors?
Well, it's about trust. At the end of the day, transparency always highlights the trust, and that's important in any organization and the relationship with the vendors. So I will say, when you are transparent that way, it reduces the inquiries that you might receive from the vendors all the time. So if you have a system that you can provide that information, it also creates less time consuming for the people processing the invoices because they have less inquiries.
Got it. So, what are the potential risks or downsides of this full transparency approach?
Well, also you have everything. There is a balance to it, right? When you are full transparent, you may have information overload. You might be exposing processes to the vendors that you might not need to expose, and certain vulnerabilities about your systems, your processes. So sometimes it's just unnecessary steps that you take in order to provide transparency. So I think there's always a little bit of balance about what a vendor needs versus just putting all the information out there that they might not need.
Conversely, what are the benefits of sticking to high level updates?
Well, it minimizes the efforts in the team that is processing those, right? So they're going to get less less inquiries. I think the most important is to provide milestones, communication of key milestones, and if you fulfill the terms, that's the most important part. Just making sure that you fulfill the terms with the vendors.
So, do you think there is a risk of vendor feeling dissatisfied with the high level updates due to perceived lack of transparency?
Honestly, in my experience, I have not seen that. As long as they are communicated in a very clear manner, that you have clear expectations about the terms, the payments, how it's done, most vendors are satisfied with that. I think some of the issues start when you get out of those terms and you don't have an answer why my payment has been delayed. So I think that's when the mistrust can start. If you are a little bit more proactive in your approach when you have an issue or an event that you cannot fulfill those terms, that's when I think you just need to communicate, be proactive with vendors. But overall, if not, I haven't seen it. Usually vendors are very mindful that it's a matter of efficiency both ways.
So, in terms of communication and collaboration, what methods do you recommend to ensure that effective interaction with vendor regarding invoice status?
Well, one effective venue is to have a vendor portal. Those portals, usually you can have the view of the invoices and the stages where the invoices are. But that also requires that you have a system that you can track those stages. But if not, you can have just regular milestones, making sure that you follow the terms of the contract and just provide information. Give them also venues of communication. This is the person that you can contact to. This is, you can email me. This is my phone number. Just making sure that they can approach somebody to solve their inquiries. And like I say, be proactive. If there is an issue why the company cannot make payments as specified, be proactive, make the phone call, explain why not, and when they can receive the payments.
So finally, the last one, Claudia, like how can AI play a role in making invoice processing workflow more efficient for both company as well as for the vendors?
Well, here is when AI can automate a lot of all these tasks that are done by a person, right? AI can provide notifications automatically. It also can, with the predictive analytics, can predict certain events. So then they can actually send communications about these events. When somebody wants to communicate about standard inquiries, they can go talk to a chatbot, provide information that does not require a human just contact. But at the end of the day, it's about making sure that the vendor has all the information that they need, that they can do it either through a system, through the AI, or at the end of the day, that they can reach out to a person. AI can streamline these processes very well, and you don't have to have a human through them, but if it's necessary, is there for them. And I think that's kind of the balance that you always have to be. AI is not going to solve all our problems, but it can definitely streamline our process.
Totally agree with you, Claudia. Thank you for sharing your insights. It's clear that balancing transparency with efficiency is the key to maintain strong vendor relation while protecting the company's interest. Thank you so much, Claudia, for your time. It was like really insightful.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.